Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Technology Review. My name is Mack Jackson Jr. I am a cybersecurity consultant. This show brings cybersecurity awareness and education to mitigate the threats that can affect you and your family from cybercrimes and identity theft. In today's episode, I would like to welcome Ben Petkewich, which is from Sandstone Home Loans, to discuss mortgage fraud and home scams that we have happened in our valley here. And I wanted to get his opinion on it and get a perspective from him on how we can avoid that and how prevalent this problem is. Welcome to the show, Ben. How are you?
Doing well, Matt. Thank you.
All right, very good. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this. I've been really wanting to talk to you for a while here on the subject matter. I've gotten a lot of emails from my clients and people on social media wanting to know about this new thing called home title fraud. I've noticed the FBI has come out with several reports on it, and I've talked to the Office of the Attorney General and the Consumer Affairs Department here in Clark County about this type of complaints, and they've said they're starting to get a number of complaints. And now we're under a pandemic and everything, and there's hackers and fraudsters are really trying to find any sorts of vulnerabilities that they can exert on people to steal their personal information. So I wanted to talk to you about, what have you heard about this home title fraud?
Well, title fraud can go back years, and probably the prevalence of it has increased as the ability to access systems from the world, anywhere in the world, has increased over the last 20 years or so. But title fraud could simply be, Max, somebody forging a document and recording it at the county recorder's office, maybe forging a grant bargain sale deed or a quitclaim deed, warranty deed, depending on what part of the country you're in, and simply transferring ownership from whomever really owns the house to the criminal ring or the fraudsters.
Right.
Forged documents.
It's interesting. I've seen several different studies have shown how they've done this, that they would actually hack into the title company or mortgage company and download the documents that have these signatures, electronic signatures of the homeowners, and then use this information to contact banks or lenders throughout the world in order to use the equity in the home.
Yeah, Mac, and maybe even easier than that. This is all public record. You can go down to the county recorder's office and pull the grant bargain sale deed and simply forge a document if you needed to, attempt to get it recorded. Possibly hacking into the mortgage company itself or the title company would pull out more personal information to perpetuate that fraud. Maybe credit information or income information and social security numbers. Those wouldn't be public record, but nonetheless, if a system is compromised, that information would be taken.
Sure.
To parlay off that, if I forge a document, transfer ownership into my name, technically, listen, the homeowner still owns the home, but you've got potentially a couple problems here. Number one, is the person committing the fraud, are they then applying for financing on that home? Are they, let's say somebody is in maybe a higher risk class of they've got a lot of equity in their home, they're not so technologically savvy or not paying attention to what's going on, and somebody forges a document, puts property into their name, and then goes out to a bank and applies under a third party. We call them straw buyers. Maybe somebody doesn't even know it, or somebody who's agreed to be part of this. They apply for a mortgage loan in that new person's name and remove the equity from the house. Yeah, it could be devastating, Mac. And you're right, it is on a rise. And even more than that, it's a concern I would have to be, if that does happen, you get your house back, but at what cost?
Right.
The litigation that might be involved, the attorneys that might be required to help you navigate through this process that is maybe confusing and unknown.
The time it takes to investigate it, time off from work, to hire attorneys and try to sue if you can to get your money back of all of your costs incurred trying to do these things.
Sure. And I mean, there's just what we're talking about right now, that it's a big problem with, credit fraud and identity theft, right? And studies, I don't know what the numbers are, but studies determine how much time, effort, and hours are spent getting that information back. Now take it a step further and remove the ownership of your home from you. And, now you've got counties and public officials potentially having to look through documents and pull more data for yourself. So
exactly. It's incredible how that happened. So do you know can you tell me then what sort of preventative measures is the industry taking upon this because of this electronic data records or to protect clients' information?
Good question. I mean, I can tell you on this side of the desk that there are security measures taking place, and for how is your email transferred, and what protocols is your data being stored in, and what security measures are you taking there. Taking that step with a title fraud, that's public record, and I don't know what could be done to stop somebody from accessing that document right there with your signature on it, forging the signature, and changing ownership of a property to it. The next step, and this has been going on it's advancing, but it's been going on for years and years, are the taking of the equity from the home. And that typically requires more than just one party involved. You'd have to have mortgage originators involved, appraisers involved, title and escrow personnel involved. So it becomes sort of a ring that, of a group of criminals, for lack of a better word, that are involved in stealing from, whether it be the bank or the homeowner. Essentially is what they're doing. They're stealing from both, really.
Right. That would make sense, to have a group of people doing it, collaborating on this type of conspiracy, if you would, to steal this information.
And with the amount of hacking going on in technology, it's making it easier. It used to be localized rings of this, Mac. You'd have a ring in Atlanta, a ring in LA. My thoughts are stealing this. You could have somebody sitting in a foreign country, easily taking that data from different sources, and then maybe have their group on the ground, or their organized units in certain areas to go ahead and facilitate the crime.
That's right. Definitely could. So yeah, it's good to hear that your company and others, I'm sure, in the industry are aware of this type of fraud that's happening, and the consumers themselves, should they, if someone has a title, people who own homes have titles to their home, is there anything that they could do to that you recommend that could protect their current title to make sure that it is current and up to date?
It's one thing is to look up your county recorders, whatever county you live in. Look up the recorder's office. You can go down to the recorder's office. You can do an online search for the information, and maybe check just to see what's the last document recorded against your property. Was it the deed of trust that you took out when you borrowed some money? Was it the transfer of ownership you took when you bought the property? And is it up to date? Was it recorded when you bought the house 10 years ago? Is that the same last document that was recorded, or has something been recorded since that date? It's hard to tell somebody to look at this information every single day. It can get a little bit onerous to do that. A quarterly check, a biannual check, doing something to just see the ownership house in your property is still the same. Take you 5-10 minutes to do it.
This can also, my other question would be, can this affect people that have their homes, let's say, registered or recorded in a trust as well? Will they give them an extra protection, or was it the same thing?
It could. A little bit more difficult to take a property out of trust, but listen, if somebody's forging documents, I'm not going to put it past them to forge a trust certificate or any other documents to pull that property out of trust.
Good point.
More documents.
Yes. Yeah. So the best advice for people is definitely check their records and make sure that they are current. Just like we check our credit reports, right? We've been told that we should check our credit reports, 3 to 4 times a year, every quarter, basically, to see if we see any suspicious activity on our credit file or within our credit files. And if we see something that looks suspicious, to report it immediately to credit reporting agencies or financial companies to get it redressed, maybe we should add to that also checking our titles as well with our county recorder's office. Those
A
sort
good
of,
idea.
yeah, those sort of things give extra layer of protection. Wow, that's really interesting too. It definitely falls in the line of identity theft crimes that we recommend our clients, to do in a way to mitigate, avoid identity theft by doing these sort of procedures to protect themselves. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. While I have you here, I want to ask you also about, since we're the economic times right now, Las Vegas Valley has come upon the residents here in Las Vegas, almost 3 million people, residents here. And there's been a incredible job loss here in Las Vegas. How is the home market industry? Do you see it changing soon, getting better, or what kind of advice or recommendations that you'd have for a local community?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mac. Excuse me. The shutdown of most everything occurred right in the beginning of the typical spring home buying season.
Wow.
So it really put a stop on it. I mean, there's bigger and worse things we're focused on with the shutdown here. But just combined with the spring home buying season, it did shut down things for a minute. The unemployment rates here were incredible. The amount of service sector and other jobs that were lost put those people, the last thing you're going to think about is buying a house when you lose your job, right? It's how do we save ourselves and what's going on. Interestingly enough, though, Mac, it's been quite a busy month after April. I mean, probably mid-April later for purchasing again.
Good.
On my side of things, I've seen a lot of people still relocating to this community from out of state. We're still a great entry point for home purchasing, and because of that, there's still a lot of people flooding into this. Well, I shouldn't say flooding, but coming into this marketplace and purchasing property. Do I think it's going to continue? Personally, I would think we're going to slow down. I would expect it. Maybe the low rates continue on this home buying because the lower the rates are, the more house somebody can afford if they're still working and their credit's still hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the disposable income to do that. So for that piece of it, I could see people still continuing to buy. My concern is really what happens next fall and next spring. And as we slow down, do these people have their jobs back? And what percentage of people that lost jobs have their jobs back? Or how much savings was used up to continue just their basic necessities?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a telltale sign to me for the housing market come next year. Okay. Is where I could see potentially some concern.
Very good. Well, hope that gets better, Ben, out there. And we're all praying and hope things will get better and we get past all this, the lockdown and everything starts to reopen here in Las Vegas and across the country, and we come up with some treatments for this flu that we have that's going around. So definitely appreciate that. Ben, could you let our audience know how to contact you if they want information about getting a home loan?
Sure. My name is Ben Petkewich, 702-731-6464 with Sandstone Home Loans, www.sandstonehomeloans.com.
All right. Very, very good, Ben. Very good. Hey, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. I've been wanting to talk with you about this and everything. And I've gotten a few emails, questions, people are asking about the mortgage home title loans and stuff. And I wanted to get an expert on my show here to talk about it and get their opinion on it. I'm glad to be able to talk with us about it, Ben. So we'll definitely appreciate it. And hopefully you'll be on our show again. Things change. If you have anything new that you have that you'd like to share with our audience, definitely let me know. We'll have you on the show again and we'll talk about it.
Will do, Mac. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. All right, folks. I want to thank Ben Petkewich for being on our show today, and thank you for joining us here in Technology Review. We'll be back, folks, after these messages.